Today is Wednesday, May 15th. We'll tell you what happened when former President Trump's team grilled a top witness in his hush money trial. Also, a growing trade war with China, how the U.S. has just raised the stakes. Plus, why a top dating platform is now saying sorry. What new features Google is making with artificial intelligence. And how history was made at this year's Westminster Dog Show. Those stories and even more news to know coming up in today's episode. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Former President Trump's lawyers got their chance to grill a man who was once known as their client's fixer and is now known as a star witness. The defense team cross-examined Michael Cohen during the Trump's criminal hush money trial, making it seem like Cohen was simply out for revenge. One of Trump's lawyers questioned Cohen about the millions of dollars he's made from writing books about the former president. And that's on top of Cohen's nightly appearances on TikTok and his podcast, where he often talks about Trump. Cohen explained, saying he's taken opportunities to vent since he's been having a difficult time sleeping. A defense lawyer also asked Cohen how he went from being Trump's loyal confidant, who said he was willing to take a bullet for him, to publicly disparaging his old boss. Cohen said the turning point came after he took 2 guilty pleas in connection to business he did with Trump. And at that point, Cohen said he realized his loyalty made him and his family suffer. Though Cohen also admitted that in the years he did work for Trump, he lied to Congress, media outlets, his bank, and many others, all to protect the former president. So the defense team has been making the case that Cohen is a known liar who cannot be trusted now. Cohen is a crucial witness for the prosecution since he's the only one so far who has actually spoken about the cover-up of the hush money payment. And of course, that's what this trial is really about, whether Trump falsified business records. And everyone seems to realize the impact of Cohen's testimony. For the last couple of days, as Cohen testified, Republican politicians and members of Trump's family filled the pews that had been half empty earlier in the trial. The cross-examination is expected to continue tomorrow. America's top diplomat made an unannounced visit to Ukraine this week. In Kyiv, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said part of a U.S. aid package has arrived and more is on its way. He also acknowledged this is a critical moment for Ukraine, since Russia has been making big military gains in the northeastern part of the country lately. And with that, Ukrainian President Zelensky said even more assistance is needed. Blinken did not specifically respond to that request, just said Ukraine can count on its partners for long-term support. Though he can't really guarantee much for the long term, given the unpredictability that comes with the upcoming general election. If former President Trump wins in November, the aid is expected to change, if not be taken away completely. Trump has described Ukraine as a burden to the U.S. and has promised to end the war within 24 hours. And of course, no matter who is in the White House, Congress will always have a say. It's about to cost a lot more to import Chinese goods into the U.S. President Biden announced a sharp increase in tariffs on things like electric vehicles, solar cells, semiconductors, and advanced batteries. Plus, he promised to keep the tariffs on more than $300 billion worth of Chinese goods that began under President Trump. Biden says this policy will protect American companies and workers, especially in industries that are seen as important right now, like clean energy and technology. In response, many industry groups and environmentalists praised Biden's decision. But the National Retail Federation, that represents many companies that source or sell Chinese products, asked Biden to change his mind, saying the extra costs will eventually be passed on to Americans. The U.S. Treasury Secretary disputes that, though, saying the tariffs will only end up lowering the prices of American-made products since their supply chains will get more secure. As for the Chinese government, it's promised to, quote, take resolute measures to defend its own interests. To be continued. It turns out there were some early signs that something was going to go wrong long before a cargo ship crashed into Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge. The National Transportation Safety Board put out a report this week that says the container ship lost power a couple of times even before it left the port of Baltimore. And after leaving the port, the ship lost power 2 more times. But each blackout was apparently caused by something different, and the NTSB has not said yet whether the first ones contributed to the others. As you know, the crash ended up destroying the nearly half-century-old bridge, killed 6 construction workers, and largely shut down the busy port of Baltimore. But the report did not pin blame on the crew. Instead, it pointed to a key maintenance error. The 21-member crew has been trapped on the ship since the collapse back in March. And this week, explosions via a controlled demolition finally collapsed the bridge and freed that wrecked ship. But the ship is still on the river as crews conduct safety assessments. Eventually, the plan is to use tugboats to pull the ship to the pier and clear the channel. And the hope is that will happen by the end of this week. Other investigations are still underway. The southern U.S. is bracing for even more severe weather in the coming days. Already this week, at least 4 people were killed in powerful storms that moved across the south. And another significant bout of heavy rain is expected over the same areas tomorrow. The National Weather Service is warning about considerable and significant flash flooding from East Texas across much of Louisiana and into Mississippi. And those storms could last through Friday, too. The good news is, though, most people seem to be getting a little break today to dry out and prepare for the next round. Still ahead, TikTok creators fight to save the app. Americans retire early. Bumble tries to make amends, and a lot more. But first, this episode is brought to you by Honeylove. Ever since we moved, I've been trying to get real about the things in my closet that I'm really wearing and using, and the things that I should just donate or get rid of already. And since getting my Honeylove leggings, shapewear, and more, my old stuff is just not making the cut anymore. And that's because I choose Honeylove's Legging 2.0 pretty much every time I go into my closet. And when I need to wear a dress to a special event, the old shapewear that rides up is not going to be my first pick. Instead, Honeylove has changed the game. All of their items, from leggings to shapewear to bras, are designed to be comfortable, functional, and make you feel great. And now that I wear them, I can tell you, they all do just that. Treat yourself to the best bras, leggings, shapewear, and more, and save 20% at honeylove.com/newsworthy. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off honeylove.com/newsworthy to find your perfect fit. After your purchase, they ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. You deserve this. Free the pain and discomfort. Keep the support with Honeylove. Okay, now back to the news. A group of TikTok creators is now suing the U.S. government, fighting the new law that would force the sale of or ban the popular video app. They say the law violates their First Amendment rights by meddling with a medium of communication that they say is now a critical part of American life. The lawsuit echoes similar arguments TikTok and its Chinese parent company made last week in a separate lawsuit. And just like it did last week, the Justice Department responded to say it looked forward to defending the law in court. The Biden administration says it worries the Chinese government could use the app to spy on Americans or secretly shape public opinion. But in this latest lawsuit, the creators say the federal government has not proven TikTok actually poses any unique danger. No matter what side you're on, there's no questioning the app is widely popular. At last check, 170 million Americans were on TikTok. The dating app Bumble is dealing with backlash over its latest ad campaign. It started rolling out last month, and it included billboards reading, "A vow of celibacy is not the answer, and thou shalt not give up on dating and become a nun." There was also a commercial that depicted a woman joining a convent, only to fall for a gardener and join Bumble on a forbidden phone. Well, it didn't go over well. A lot of women responded online saying Bumble was mocking their choices to be voluntarily celibate. Some also wanted to point out how becoming sexually active would not solve singles' dating woes. So now Bumble is apologizing. It promised to remove the advertisements, donate to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and offer the billboard space to organizations that support women, marginalized communities, and abuse survivors. As expected, Google made a bunch of new announcements about artificial intelligence this week. First, on search, the tech giant says AI will be able to take multiple sources of information and give people a small, digestible overview of their search results. Separately, Google Photos will get a new AI tool so you can ask questions that might be answered with some of your pictures. So for example, when did my kid learn how to swim? Then there's AI agents, which are supposed to act like personal assistants. Google says they're still in the early days, but that eventually they'll be able to handle complex tasks. Like if you wanted to return a pair of shoes, it would be able to go through your emails, fill out a return form, and set up a pickup appointment. With another tool, you should be able to point your smartphone camera at objects in real life and get answers about them, like, what neighborhood is this? Also, a video generator will be able to create videos from text images and video prompts. Plus, Google announced a new Gemini app, which integrates text, video, and voice prompts. And those are just a few examples of the many new advancements Google showed off yesterday. It's not clear yet when they'll all be rolled out to the public, but at least some of the features will be available to certain creators in the coming weeks. The most prestigious dog show in the U.S. has crowned a new top dog. Sage, the miniature poodle, won Best in Show at the 148th Annual Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. She beat more than 2,500 other dogs of more than 200 different breeds for the ultimate prize. This is the 11th time a poodle has won the event. Only wire fox terriers have won more. Now both Sage and her handler are retiring with the trophy and bragging rights. Also this year, some history was made. The agility competition has its first non-purebred winner, a border collie papillon mix named Nimble. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Work Wednesday, when we break down one interesting career or work-related news story every Wednesday. But first, thanks to our sponsor, ZocDoc. I know I can't be my best at any other part of my life if I'm in pain or not feeling well. That's why I keep up with the annual doctor's appointments for myself and my family, and I seek out the right specialist if I'm having an unexpected issue. And while it's a top priority, I know healthcare can get expensive. So finding doctors that take my insurance is so important. And that's why I appreciate ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors near you and instantly book appointments with them online. Yes, not only is it free, but it also helps me quickly and easily find a variety of credible doctors who have offices nearby, take my insurance, and treat basically any condition I've looked for. And because I do have high standards, I always check out ZocDoc's verified reviews from actual real patients. Check out ZocDoc to find a doctor who makes you feel comfortable, listens, and most of all, works with you to prioritize your health. Go to ZocDoc.com/newsworthy and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Work Wednesday. Retiring early may soon be the norm in the U.S. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York put out new research that found less than 46% of Americans plan to work full-time after they turn 62. And that's down nearly 10% from just a few years ago. And the data shows it's shifted across many ages, educational backgrounds, and income groups. So what's changed? Well, the Fed points to the pandemic, saying there's really been a cultural shift of people rethinking the value of work. People also cite health concerns, wanting to help care for grandkids and more. Of course, there's a difference between wanting to retire early and actually doing so. But the data shows a lot of Americans are following through. The Employee Benefit Research Institute says the median age at which current retirees retired is 62, and less than a third of today's retirees worked until 65 or later. Experts say there are some things to consider, though, if you want to retire early. For example, if you retire before 65, you won't be eligible for Medicare, so you'll need to pay for more expensive private health insurance. You may also receive smaller Social Security checks if you claim benefits before retirement age. Plus, financial planners say you might miss out on your peak career earnings that could help beef up your retirement fund. But of course, you only live once. So if retiring early is a goal, there are also ways to save and make it work with a good plan. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing the show. We'll catch you up on more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.